This is one that here is unfired, and they just consistently produce fire. So this is from my Mars line, and as you can see, just some of the coolest super blotches that are out there. Hey guys, I'm Brian with Sundown Reptiles. On today's MorphMarket vlog, we're going to be talking to you about some of my favorite geckos that we work with here in the facility, which are gargoyle geckos. We're going to take a look at some of my personal favorites in the collection, as well as dive into some of the morphs that are out there, especially the ones that I work with. And we're going to talk a little bit about the care of these incredible geckos. So for caging, I use two different styles for my adults. You saw the Kahua video that I did on the last vlog on MorphMarket. You'll notice that we use the same exact cage here. It's because this is the same type of setup that I would use for a gargoyle gecko. I like to have these branches. I like to give them cork tubes, cork flats, a nice water dish, and some foliage so that they can hide if they want to. It also helps if you have pairs. It gives them some visual barriers. But this would be the ideal cage for a pair or a trio. I also, if we look up here, I like to include these misting nozzles on here. This was a system by Ryan Turnquist. And as always, if you zoom out, you can see these cages with this amazing push-pull style. This is by Animal Plastics. Awesome prototype cages that I've been using, and they're working out amazingly well. All right guys, so for my babies, I really like to use these 6-quart tubs. As you can see, very simple. I use this cardboard egg crate in there so I can throw it away if it gets funky, paper towel, and I like to add some plastic plants in there just for a visual barrier and for more decoration for them to hide in. For a rack route, you can also use these 56-quart room essentials bins that I have right here. This is something that can be a little bit more space efficient, and it's essentially the same footprint as the Animal Plastics cage that I was showing you. These racks I also had made from Animal Plastics, so these 56-quart bins fit in nicely. We've got our cork tubes, our flats, foliage for them to hide and provide visual barriers, and you can even keep groups in here. I like to use a peat soil mix substrate for these types of setups on my adults, and as always, I like to give them fresh water. These hold humidity really well and are just a great alternative to that other style AP cage, but both of them work amazing. These down here are some animals that are in my collection. We've got a nice black and white. We've got a really beautiful red stripe animal. We've got an orange animal here that actually has some nice flecking on the head. And we'll talk a little bit about head markings and eyebrows that you'll see on some of these geckos. Jump into some of the stripe collection right now. Here's a red stripe that's got a lot going on. If you take a look above the eyes, you'll notice that this animal has those eyebrows. That's a little trait that describes those red markings that are right above the eyes. This animal also has some really nice lateral striping on it, almost full dorsal filled in, and a really nice red base coloration on this gecko. This is one of my future breeders here, and we try to pick for a lot of those traits that we're talking about. I really like that head pattern on this gecko, as well as that saturation and color on this one with the base. It just makes for a nice animal for the next generation of red stripes. On the topic of stripes, here is a black and white striped gargoyle gecko. This is a different morph that we're working with here, and we really are trying to have a group that has no coloration on it at all. And when you compare that to our red stripes, it's pretty wild to see how different these two are. Talk about base coloration on gargoyle geckos. This animal here that's closest to us in the camera, that's more of what I would call a red base animal. When it fires up, the coloration almost takes over most of that pattern and striping that you see. Whereas this one here is more of a light base. This one doesn't really get that full red base coloration in between that red striping that you see. But both are great. It just depends on what you're breeding for and trying to selectively produce. So you'll often hear the term six stripe, which can refer to an animal that has a lateral striping on both sides. And you'll also have this stripe here that you can kind of see as orange, and another red where it's then divided by that black dorsal stripe. So that gives us our 1, 2, 3, and then if we repeat that on the other side, that gives us our 6 for our six stripe animal. And all of these would qualify in that department. This girl right here is one of my founding breeder gargoyle geckos that is producing really nice red striped animals. But with age, they tend to fade out some, especially when they've been bred a lot and have been paired up year after year. When you look at the top of the head of this gecko, you can see why they get their name, the gargoyle gecko. Take a look at those horns that are on top of the head. When breeding for these animals, you can actually choose animals that have larger horns to try and produce better structure with your geckos. Not all gargoyle geckos are created equal. So here are a couple of really nice super blotches. Definitely a major focus here with my gargoyle gecko project. If you take a look at these two, we've got a nice red and a nice orange super blotch. Super blotch meaning that they've got those blotches that are more clustered together to form that larger grouping of pattern. Two beautiful geckos, but right now we're about to go check out a whole lot more. Let's go see. All right, y'all, so these are Mars offspring. Mars is a male of mine that is paired up with some females that are siblings, and they just produce insane super blotches. And by super blotch, as you can see, we have not just little spots on this animal, but big connecting groups of that red pattern that is what makes this animal a super blotch. This is one that here is unfired, and they just consistently produce fires. This is from my Mars line, and as you can see, just some of the coolest super blotches that are out there. This is Valentine, and she is a female that is out of my red bud pairing. Produces really nice super blotches, and this is a future breeding female. Kind of what you're looking for with a super blotch, having a lot of that blotching clumped together, just creating a really nice grouping of coloration all over the body. This is Rodan, a breeder male out of Christmas and Wildfire, and is just a phenomenal example of what you look for in a super blotch. Just really nice grouping of that pattern on the back, really good saturation on him. There are two male striped gargs that are going to be breeding next season, and you can just see the difference in that coloration. This animal almost having more orange striping with just a little bit of highlighted red going down the center of the back, whereas this animal has that really nice deep red with a red base color as well. So when this animal fires, it'll be almost completely red, whereas this one has that nice light base. Two beautiful super blotches out of my Bloody Mary line. This pairing consistently throws knockout super blotches. Here we have one that's unfired, so it really lets you see that incredible blotching on there, versus this one that has got really nice blotches as well, but is just kind of overall red, showing off a real nice red base color on there. Both stunners, both out of Bloody Mary. Another super blotch pairing that I can't stop raving about is my red bud male that I have with his ladies. These are all his offspring, consistently produced really nice red base super blotches. Both of these two are from 2024, two of my holdbacks, and this is one that was just hatched this past April. So this thing isn't even a full month old yet, and it's just got amazing color on it. Couple gargoyle geckos that are showing the skeleton trait. If you look down the back, you see that blotching that goes down the dorsal, almost connecting into a line. And then we also have those little lines of color that are going down to the laterals that are almost looking like ribs that you see going down. Very cool pattern on them. Definitely a popular look in the gargoyle gecko world. This first one is out of Sangria and Tiger, and then this little youngster is out of Zip. Both skeleton gargoyle geckos. Reticulated gargoyle geckos are another type of morph that you'll see in the hobby. This is a black and white retic, And as you can see, it's got some really nice black speckling on that white base. It just makes for a very interesting look on your guards. Thank you all so much for tuning in on today's special on gargoyle geckos. Hopefully you guys were able to learn some cool things about these incredible animals. As always, thanks to MorphMarket for having us on this vlog. And if you want to find my animals and you want to see my productions of gargoyles, check out my website. You can always find me on MorphMarket, on Instagram, and on Facebook. Thank you all so much. Have a great day.